My desire when I was growing up was to be an agriculture engineer, but after spending 85 days in the polio ward in Lawton and then finding a doctor by the name of Don O'Donoghue, a famous orthopedic surgeon here in Oklahoma City, by the time he worked over my legs and everything, I had a pretty good idea I wasn't going to be able to play sports or do anything sports, but I got to keep a scorebook, and it was on a windy afternoon. We were playing in the Caddo County tournament, and I was keeping the scorebook, and a young man by the name of Johnny Bench came up and hit a home run out to nowhere, and then another at bat, he hit another one. I was so impressed with Johnny Bench that I go home the next day and I never had read a paper, and I grabbed the Lawton Morning Press and grabbed it to see the box score. And the first box score I wanted to find was the Cincinnati, Reds, and so every day after that I started looking at the box scores to see about Johnny Bench, and it was just something that kind of captivated me, because seeing him, it's a whole different world than seeing him on TV. The thing that I enjoyed the most always was taking young reporters with me to ball games and things, and trying to teach them the finer points of not just being a sports writer, not want to go basketball, baseball, but try to convince them that there were other sports that were just as important. One thing you need to do in journalism is try to learn as much about as many sports as possible. You never know when somebody's going to call and say, hey, I need a guy that could do this or do that. Obviously, my parents, like I said, a farmer rancher and a school teacher, they gave me the right things to learn when I was growing up. I had a summer at home, and I met a gentleman by the name of Bill Shoemate, who was a big radio guy there in Lawton, Oklahoma. And he said, you've got a great love for sports. I'm going to let you be on our broadcasting team for our radio broadcast, which was Lawton High School and Cameron University. So we got to fly on little old planes all over the United States. When we were flying to Alamosa, Colorado for a Cameron football game, the guy sitting next to me just happened to be Herb Jacobs, who's the sports editor of the Lawton Constitution. So we got to be friends, and about 6 months later, Herb hired me as a stringer to help with their coverage of basketball. And within a year, I was full-time, and in 1985, Herb wanted to slow down, and so I took over as sports editor. So Herb, those two guys, Bill Shoemate and Herb Jacobs, got me into this business. They also introduced me to my wife, which, we've been married 51 years, and my wife, and I have a son who's a hospital pharmacist. And so when you're raising a child and you're also a nighttime sports writer, it's a rough life, because if it hadn't been for my wife taking such great care of our son, I missed a lot of events, and I swore that someday I wanted to do a better job being a parent or a grandparent. So now I have a 12-year-old grandson that's got playing sports, and I get to go watch him and in position to do that. But I think that's the toughest thing for young sports writers. I know I've had several of them drift away from sports writing because their family, they wanted to have a family life. And anybody that's been in journalism knows that the night is where the sports are, it seems, and so you've got to kind of follow that.